Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with the leader of New York City's traditional jazz vocal group, the Ladybugs, Martina DaSilva. On the heels of their first and new self-titled album, this outfit has a unique repertoire of sound, blending favorites from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and infused with an old-school swing, country, and blues. It's a very unique and cool sound. Martina discusses the beginnings of the band, where they are heading, along with much, much more. Please dig it, my friends.
Hey, thank you for taking a little time to talk with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in here. I did notice that you had a show at Joe's Pub. So that'll be a nice little lead-in for my first question, which is, what has been going on with the group lately?
Well, we just released our debut album, self-titled album, The Ladybugs, at Joe's Pub. That was the release show for the physical album. And, the online one is going to be coming out later this month. And, that was many months in the making. We recorded in October, and, we're super excited to finally release it and share it with everyone.
Cool. Give me a little bit of a history of the band. When did you form? How did everything kind of lead to this day in July of 2015?
Sure. Well, in 2013, in the summer, I got a weekly brunch gig at a place called Hotel Chantel in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and I put together an all-female traditional jazz band called the Ladybugs. So we started out with just having girls, different ladies that I knew play in the band. I didn't really have a specific group yet. I was just singing. And then, and one day I couldn't find a horn player, so I called my friend Kate Davis, who's a great singer and bassist, and I asked her if she would just play ukulele and sing sort of background vocals and harmony with me, and she did it, and it was sort of like, I felt like I found a kindred spirit at that moment. It was like clearly very magical musical connection we had. So I asked her to join, and then slowly we'd have some other musicians, male musicians, play with us sometimes, and we eventually ended up playing with this group of guys that we have now, and the chemistry was just great. So we kept the name Ladybugs, and now it is no longer an all-female band.
What do the guys think about being called Ladybugs?
I think some of them are more okay with it than others. I mean, we call ourselves the Bugs. I mean, they're cool with it. It's very sweet, pretty music, and it features female vocals. So, I'm fine with it at this point.
I was wondering why there wasn't maybe an image of Ladybugs as a part of kind of your ensemble. Is it too cliche, or is that something that was ever thought about?
I just, honestly, I just thought it was like, I just thought it would be like a little bit cheesy to like have a visual representation of the band. I don't know. I just like the name, The Beatles weren't really represented by an actual graphic of a Beatle. So I just went that route with it.
Yeah, but and the beauty of the Beatles was it was like beat too, so there's really no real way
That's true.
Kind of capture that whole thing. So
maybe I should misspell.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I like the way the website's laid out. It has a nice the actual words are nice punching out there. So let me ask about you a little bit. What's been kind of your musical journey? Did you grow up in New York? Where'd you grow up?
I was born and raised in New York City, in Manhattan, and I went to performing arts high school called LaGuardia High School, also known as the Fame High School from the movie Fame. And I was classically trained at school there, and then when I was 17, my last year of high school, I started getting into jazz, and I went I went straight to college for it. I did 2 years at McGill University, and I learned a lot there in Montreal. Then I transferred to the new school, finished up my undergrad there. I graduated just a year ago. And when I moved back to New York, I became aware of this early jazz scene that New York has called the trad scene, which focuses on music from, the 20s and 30s. And I felt like I had found my place within the jazz world and got really into that music. And now I'm sort of, working on combining the two of them, which is my classical background and early jazz.
Right on. So talk to me a little bit about the influences when you did get into jazz. Who are some of the singers or musicians that really kind of swayed you in the jazz world?
Sarah Vaughan, definitely my number one influence. I just loved her voice. It's, huge and full, and it was something I could relate to coming from a classical background because, she definitely, she has a really large sound, and I was really into her. Love Ella Fitzgerald. Louis Armstrong has had a big influence on me as well. As a trumpet player and as a singer, his phrasing is just, has always captivated me. So I've spent a lot of time listening to him. Yeah. Cool.
So your repertoire, as you said, is the 20s, 30s, 40s, and you've infused the whole swing, country, and blues to it. Mm-hmm. How does the entire band, what are some of the other musical influences for the entire band? Or what do you all listen to, or what do you guys think about, when you're constructing these songs? Like, who's really swaying you one way or another?
Well, I think to begin with, I definitely choose the majority of the repertoire. So as far as musical influences coming from other people, our guitarist, Gabe Schneider, is Hawaiian. So, and the band also features, ukuleles. So that's definitely, that's a big influence. Hawaiian music, Les Paul and Mary Ford, Western swing also. And, I would also say like American spirituals and just even folk songs from other countries. We do this one Scottish folk song from the late 17th century called Annie Laurie. We do, on our upcoming album, we have the American spiritual, Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. So, yeah, we definitely have some folk influences as well.
So do you feel like you're forging a new direction in jazz, or do you feel like you're adding to the existing voice? What's your feel on that?
That's hard. That's hard to say. I think maybe, I think in some ways, I think this group is definitely about, I think what makes us unusual is that, we don't necessarily stick to a specific genre, and what unifies all of the music we play is just, it's music that is emotional and very pretty. So I suppose we are in some ways forging a new direction because we're just, we're being ourselves and doing what we like. And I think the classical background that I come from is, as a jazz vocalist, is a little bit unusual right now. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see where we go. And, yeah, I can answer that question better a little while from now, probably.
Sure. Well, speaking of going places, you've been at Jazz at Lincoln Center. You've been at a number of festivals, and you're busy around New York. What is it like to play live? How do you feel? Is that kind of a natural element?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're super comfortable playing live, and I think that's where we communicate very well as a band, and we have a lot of fun, and I think it's the best way for the audience to fully like absorb our music and its spirit. It's to see us in person, and I guess you can say that about any artist, but we you know, you can see the way we communicate and like our friendship. I think it's very clear. I think it's very clear in live settings.
So when you're in front of a crowd, do you want the crowd sitting there looking on? Do you want them moving, tapping, dancing? What do you like to see in a crowd when you perform?
It depends on the crowd. I mean, I like playing for dancers. I like playing for seated crowds. It's more just, it's hard to articulate, but it's a feeling, feeling like I have their attention. I can't exactly put into words what that looks like, but it's just an energy back from the audience, so that's what I just like. I like feeling that they are moved, and yeah.
Cool. What are you seeing as kind of the afterglow of releasing this album? What are you anticipating for promotion? What are you anticipating for a reaction, and where this is going to go for you as a band?
I'm honestly trying not to anticipate too much and just sort of being in the moment with this. I mean, we recorded this just because we wanted to document what we were doing. I mean, I of course hope it's very well received. I hope people like it, and but I'm that's sort of what I'm thinking.
Cool. As a lifelong New Yorker, what's the greatest thing about New York? I mean, obviously your music is heavily influenced by where you're from and what you know. What's the best thing about New York for you?
There's so many things. It's so hard to say. I think it's being surrounded by so much incredible art. Not only music. I grew up, in a family of visual artists, so it's getting to be around so much incredible work, and I'm inspired by all of it, by theater, by visual art, dance, and it's nice to have access to all of that.
Right on. Why do you love jazz?
Because the harmony is so rich. I mean, I love jazz. It's just, I love jazz because for a lot of the same reasons why I love classical music. I think it's very engaging, intellectually stimulating, emotional music, and it challenges me.
Cool. If somebody, you have a show coming up and it's in a newspaper or a weekly, and somebody was to open up and they would see a picture of the band and they would see the Ladybugs live, what would you want to put in there, or what would you want to say to somebody to convince them to come to give you a shot to see your show?
I guess I'd have to think of how I'd phrase it exactly, but I'd say something along the lines of come in to be, sorry, I have to think about it. I'd just say something about our music being, dreamy and sweet, and to come to the show to be taken to another place.
Cool. So we did kind of hit on the fact that you have to see what's going to happen. Let's say in 10 years we interview, and I ask you, first of all, what's been going on? What are you going to be happy to tell me?
I'm going to be happy to tell you that I'm still have a strong musical relationship with all the members of my band, whether or not even if we're all involved in our own solo projects at that point.
So do you have any plans of getting to places like Kansas City or around the country at other spots?
I would love to. We've not yet been on tour, but I'm working on setting one up.
Wonderful. Well, we'd love to see you here. Thank you again for taking some time to talk with me. Good luck out there with all of this. It's great music.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over America, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Martina for her time, and good luck to the Ladybugs as they rock it out there into the jazz universe. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store, or visit theneonjazz.blogspot.com for all things Neon Jazz. Until next time, enjoy the music, my friends.
Neon Jazz.